Hey everybody, I'm John Granato. That's Lance Zierlein. You can hear us mornings on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Hit subscribe right now so you get all of our content here at SportsMap HOU. Hey Lance, after the cachet, Nick Caserio probably built up with his candor in recent interviews. Would hiring Josh McCown torpedo any future credibility or trust from this fan base in Houston's front office?
Well, it would if it doesn't work out. I think if it works out, it's all good. If it doesn't work out, you've now done a David Culley deal and a Josh McCown deal. If it fails miserably within 2 years, to have two failed coaches in a 3 or 4 year stint, I think it completely subverts your credibility. But it's also free agency. It's also the draft, right? So I think it all needs to work together. You got to build up the roster and then have a coach that helps maneuver in the right direction. If that happens, he gets credibility. If it fails miserably and he doesn't draft well this year or next year, then his credibility is completely gone after 3 years, and it's going to be hard to come back from for the entire organization. I mean, that's missing. That's missing on a couple of drafts, obviously, and it's missing on the head coach. And so that takes a lot to ruin credibility. But the David Culley thing doesn't help a one-and-done situation.
Well, I think, listen, if it doesn't work out, I don't think you can trust Nick Caserio. I mean, if I'm Cal, if I owned the Texans, I would say, are you kidding me? You just want a puppet that you can mold as opposed to all the good candidates that are out there. Now, the optics of this, listen, if Jonathan Gannon gets an offer from another team, it wouldn't surprise me he goes to that other team, to this dumpster, as opposed to this dumpster fire with the structure that they have here in Houston. All of these other coaches. And so the Texans might be left holding the bag once again for the last candidate because everybody else just feels like, man, I'd go anywhere else other than the Houston Texans.
I think that this is my biggest concern. I get moving on from David Culley, but had you kept him in for one more year, and let's say you became a 6-win team and you dealt Deshaun Watson and you picked up all this future draft capital, then it becomes a much more appealing job for a candidate to come to the Houston Texans. Maybe you build some credibility inside the organization, and with outside forces, they see the organization differently. So that's, to me, the unfortunate thing about the David Culley situation. You couldn't milk one more year out of it to potentially make it a little bit more appealing job. As you just mentioned, here's a candidate who might look at the Texans' job as being on the lower end of the spectrum of jobs that a guy may consider. And I think just 1 year removed, one more year and draft capital available with the Deshaun Watson trade could make all the difference in the world for how people view this organization.
Listen, there's so many negatives with Jack Easterby, in this entire situation, and Cal and everything else, and Deshaun, the whole situation here, that there are a lot. It's definitely negatively influencing. The Texans are probably the last team that any coach wants to go to. And here it is again with Josh McCown with no coaching experience, as David Culley had zero head coaching experience, had zero people looking at him as a head coach. Lance, you've mentioned it a few times. If they hire Josh McCown, how it will look, the optics of this thing with all these African-American coaches out there, with a guy, Josh McCown, who has zero coaching experience, it's going to be bad. Yeah,
it's going to be bad. And once again, it doesn't matter if you win, though. Winning cures all ills, but it's going to take a while for this team to win. And that's the thing, is this organization, even if things go very, very right for them, you still have very possibly 4 years of rough football. Last year, year before last, this year. I mean, last year, this year, and 2 more years before you can finally make it right, because that's how much rebuilding needs to be done. Boy, that's a long time to ask a fan base to stick around. Best case scenario, it's another Astros situation where a fan base just kind of checks out for X amount of years and then checks back in once they feel the hope is back in the building.
Let us know when you're the Astros, okay, Texans? Let us know when you're actually a decent organization that we can trust.